why standing stones? Like, you know, you could hear, you know, someone saying, well, there's churches all over the place. Why not just, why aren't the people who are going to standing stones just going to the churches that are already here? You know?
Well, because the idea of standing stones versus the stones that no longer stand.
Can you say more about that?
Yeah, because I think the idea, standing stones is something that can fit in the backseat of a car, where people are gathered. Because I think all Christians are called to be a pilgrim people. Standing stones is an act of mission. It's not an act of trying to make it into something it's not. And I think, no, I would love to convert all those brick buildings full of stones and make them stand again. I would love that, for sure. But it's not... we have a challenge of understanding not only our young people, but ourselves as Christians. I think we are in a profound state of upheaval in the church. And it's not because we don't know where we came from. I think we get that. I think we have a deep love for the BCP, a deep love for Pentecostal ministries. We have a deep love for the Word and Scripture of Jesus Christ. And we have a great love for some very cool, you know, elements of legalism. But the problem is, where is God calling us in North America to be? Right? Where is that new expression? Right? And sometimes it's a new expression, because Jesus Christ himself says you cannot put that new wine in old wineskins. Right? And this population is in need of an expression that is a new wineskin. Just like if you look at the way church was done, you know, from the very first day, and I don't think we should go back always. No, we are hugely nostalgic, right? Which is awesome, but nostalgia can easily turn into romanticism, which easily can turn into something even more insidious, you know. So I think what we have to do is ensure that it's not about changing who Jesus is. If you change that, then no, that is fundamentally wrong. It's not about what he's done or who he is. It's the way we proclaim it. And it's not about simply, you know, following the media part of getting some flashy this and flashy that and watering down something. But really understanding where Jesus is calling this population to be right now. You know, and that could be a flash mob. Like a flash mob church. You know, they love that stuff. You know, do a flash mob twice a week, and it doesn't have to be on a Sunday. You know, do it in the middle of university, in an anthropology class. Now that would be cool. You know, but not some crazy, you know, like having to beat people up, or you know, spiritually beat people up. You know, and I think it's just about this proclamation, right? And it's about, if we are going to be a church of the sacraments, if we are really going to be that, that means that we're called into a deep sense of sacrifice.
Who comes to Standing Stones?
Who comes to Standing Stones? Well, that's a bit of a worry, because I think who should be coming to Standing Stones or who does come to Standing Stones, they're two different things.
Both.
I think because currently the way it's programmed, and I hate that word, I mean it, and I mean to be sarcastic with my own self with that, is that we're in negotiations to have it for inner city ministries. Inner city meaning poor. Inner city meaning disadvantaged, right? And I don't mean that as an insult, because I think those people, that group of people, actually have a lot to say, and I think, you know, the gospel then speaks well. But I think though, if it stays only in the midst of that, it might ghettoize the nature of it. So now what I'm trying to do is because it's going to be, it happens 3 times a month now in Edmonton. The second Wednesday at the cathedral in a permanent place in a church. And it happens on the third Sunday at the Native Healing Center, which is a CRC street ministry. With Harold, right. And then it's going to happen at least 5 times or 6 times at the Bissell Center. But the Bissell Center, the best part about the Bissell Center is though they want to transform it so it happens once a month, but for that context.
Okay.
Right, so where I don't lead it, and then again, it's not about me leading this, because the first thing I realized, Standing Stones has to be transferable enough and inspired enough that it's not about the charism of a particular leader. Right, that's the very first thing I learned about this thing. It can have Travis's charism. Right, again, back to the I may sing very well, or I may act, whichever the way these 4 elements work in them in a circular fashion. That's what's important. The proclamation of Christ in a circular fashion where there's high participation, and that's every one of those particular circles. The smudge circle, the wisdom circle, the healing circle, and Thanksgiving. There is a participation, a direct participation of word and act in that particular thing. As long as those happen. The other thing is, I think the Bishop of Edmonton really, and I think she's inspired in the sense that she doesn't want it to ghettoize either. So she wants me to go out and do these Standing Stones for Canadians. And I mean, I'm going to use that word 2 ways. When I say Canadians, or people of Canada, like people, Aboriginal people, and there's Canadians who or immigrants, or whatever.
Sure.
You know, people, if they've been here for 10,000, if they've been here for 500 years, or just got off the immigration, they made a proclamation to the Queen last week.
Yeah. They
have to come to the full knowledge that by being Canadian, you signed on to the mission of the Aboriginal people, and they've signed on to the treaties. That's important. So she also wants me to go out and speak to those groups of people. That when you sign your social insurance card, you're actually signing the treaty, right? And that's an important component of the understanding of this mutual relationship of history, right? So those are the 2 groups that the big people that we're actually reaching, and it's important that the Barrys and Barry continues to speak into his own population of reconciliation, of education, and of sacrament, of worship. But I think it's important though for the rejuvenation of the Canadian Christian Church that this goes out to a broader sense as well. That maybe this is the thing that the church needs. It's not about reinventing who God is, but maybe it's about reinventing the way we express it, right? And sometimes one of my least favorite expressions of this is, why do we need to reinvent the wheel? Because we have to. Because I would not want, a chuck wagon wheel on my car right now. Like, I wouldn't.
Yeah. So
we've reinvented the wheel a million times. Every day we're reinventing the wheel. And the people who reinvent the wheel are the ones that are actually progressing, right? But I think that's what it is. So I think Standing Stones is a reinventing the wheel not in a progressive way, not to make progress, but to speak in to the population that is in need of hearing the gospel.
That's great.